I think I just traded away my winning season. Fuck. It's the motherfucker player haters. Oh, yeah. Yep. I think I just traded away my winning season or a chance at actually being more competitive than now. But like Josh said, it's a personal problem. Sounds like it, anyways, right, Josh? Fuck you, Josh. Okay, you go out there and if you don't acknowledge the fact that I traded away beating your ass, then what can we do? I mean, all you gotta do is say, yeah, you made a mistake and traded away Jordan Alvarez, Jazz Chisholm, and Willie Adamas for a piece of dog shit, Anthony. I don't think Eric has ever reacted so fast when I mentioned reintroducing Volpe to trade talks. Okay. I think he just thought, all right, we're just gonna, ride this kid out and maybe he'll put up a stat or two. But I swear to God, that dude come back to my roster and he literally fell right back into being dog shit. They had a double header last week, and oh my gosh, he was absolutely worthless. 0 for 9 in that doubleheader against Texas, then followed it up with an 0 for 4, and then the day prior to that went 0 for 3. But again, there's no denying that, back in the end of July, went 2 for 4, got a home run, then went 2 for 4, but then went 0 for 5, then went 2 for 5, got a home run, stolen back. I mean, there were signs that he was trending back up, and he shot back up into, I want to say at one point, the top 90, if not higher. But now that dude is dog shit. But yeah, you get no real concrete stats from Cal Rowley until Sunday night. I mean, you did get the home run, but then he just blew up and gave you 5 ribbies and 2 home runs. Sweet. Toot your own horn, Josh. You did it. But when you go out there and you grab this Jake Burger guy who's been on your roster and now you're throwing this GIF out there, like that fat ass, I mean, he's the Max Muncy of your team, is the way that I'm looking at it. Like, when you look at your roster, it's like, okay, you have Pete Alonso, who's a, shadow of who he used to be in terms of fantasy. Yet he's ranked in the top 80, okay, or 85. And then you go out there and you get the friendship trade. I mean, you get the best trade ever possible. I mean, you got a trade that was probably the most agreeable trade that any person having a top 10 ranked person would have accepted when Alec Boehm, and Gunnar Henderson. I mean, y'all want to talk about my bullshit trades? Okay. But hey, you know what? We all have, like what you said, we all have a farm system, and you recruited Jesus, and Walker has Brian. Shane has his 2 brothers that clearly never communicate with him either. They do talk to us. But anyways, and I've got my girl back there. But a lot of good my farm system is doing. So, but yeah, this is the stats I traded away. Just contributing factors to my week last week. Willie Adamas, Jordan Alvarez, Lawrence Butler, Jazz Chisholm, and Vientos. And Vientos went day-to-day with ankle soreness. But in my desperate search for a first baseman, which I did get in Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and which I did say that it would probably come down to the fact that I lost by a home run, and I ultimately lost by more than that. But here we go. The day that I proposed the trade and had it been approved, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. went 3 for 4, 2 runs, a home run, 4 RBIs. So let's look at it here. I would have gotten a run, which would have put me within 1. I'd have beat you by home runs. I would have beat you by RBIs, and my average wouldn't have been 250. It would have been higher than yours. Therefore, I would have won. But I get it. We have 2 commissioners that are human beings, and past midnight, they were not awake. I get it. It happens. But am I going to sit here and just give you props like, oh man, I won? No, you didn't. I traded away and I didn't get back the production that I would have needed to beat you. Sorry. Congratulations. You won 7-3 and you reclaimed your top 6 spot. That's all you had to do. You did what you needed to do. I did not get what I needed to do, and I made the mistakes of trading away Jordan, who went fucking stupid the day after. It was so funny. Vladdy got to play, Jordan didn't. So I didn't get anything from Vladdy the day that he was just sitting there idle. The trade goes through. He then starts going fucking ape shit and hits 3 home runs and got, well enough, and I would have beat you then. I would have beat you just by having him on my roster. Just him. Just trading him alone. However, I missed out on the stats that Vladdy would have given me. So there you go. It's cool. I think moving forward, now we should just implement a new rule that says everybody's going to have to wait a day. That way we all know. Because again, we were up and we made a transaction, but it is what it is. I don't want to harp on it too much. Again, Shane and Walker are human beings, and they deserve to be able to choose when they go to sleep and not have to stay up till 3:45. So, guys, I get it. I'm not Josh is sitting here on the chat, and again, this is my platform to at least rebuttal to his bullshit of, simple modesty of like, oh, look at me and look at what I did. The fuck you did, dude. Like, I did it to myself, but it's, again, he should have been recording those stats on my fucking roster. Vladdy is who I'm referring to. So, anyways, moving on. Our matchup went the way that it did, and you won 7-5 last night. Toot your fucking horn. Good job. You got there. Trippin' Billies, thank you for doing the Lord's work. Shane, we appreciate you and going out there and taking out Nick. Put him in 4th place, but he's still nipping at my heels. He's only a half a game behind me now, but he's getting production. Shane and I were talking from just players that you really just wouldn't have factored into being, in the top 40. Anthony Santander. He's got a pretty good average, but that dude's last week, he hit an average of 160, but he hit 3 home runs, 4 RBIs. And then he's got Colton Cowser. His biggest contributor is going to be for the rest of the season, probably Teoscar Hernandez. But Ellie De La Cruz. But he's just factoring, through these people that are, they're carrying his team, and then one of his best bats is still probably not ready to come back, and that's Kyle Tucker. But Shane, no doubt, he's got Corbin Carroll, who's turning a corner. This Fitzgerald guy who's swiping bags 3 a day. And then he gets to factor in Bryce Harper, Shohei Ohtani, and Aaron Judge. It's not an easy gauntlet to get through by any means. And Shane just showed you. That's all I need to do to beat one of the top-ranked teams who's been in the top for, several weeks of our season. And all you got to do is out-hit him, and he did. He beat him by 11 runs. And 6 RBIs, got the stolen bases against the guy that's got Ellie De La Cruz and Turner. And, he grabbed him from somebody, again, that nobody's ever even fucking heard of. So, Shane remains in the top spot. And, Nick fell 7-5, so that could be a factor coming down the stretch. I don't know what you're looking it up right now. The last time you two played would have been, and you won 9-3 in that one. So Nick hasn't been, an issue for you. And had you even tied that one, Shane, you would be just fine. Yeah. So there you go. Good job, Shane. Moving on to Jason and Sean. Sean out hit Jason this past week. That's where he got most of his stats from. Beat him by 2 runs, beat him by 4 home runs, and 1 RBI. So it was close in those categories that he lost, but Jason was able to really do damage in the pitching categories. I say really, he beat him by 1 win, but 5 quality starts, and he had the lower WHIP, but not the lower ERA. But yeah, the Hitman is not an easy team to beat. And last week, he was getting stats from Abreu and I want to say Royce Lewis. He didn't get anything from Matt Olson. And this week he gets them from Jackson Merrill. And Jackson, man, talk about somebody that's going to be sought after next season. My goodness. But Jason wins 8-4 and starts to separate himself from the teams at the bottom for sure. Mandalorians and Swinging Low faced off against each other. And again, Eric getting stats from people that he traded away and then people that he acquired in a trade. Yordan Alvarez really did a number for him and really separated himself in the RBIs from Mando. But Mando, again, not an easy punch. Just because he's in the bottom doesn't mean that his team doesn't have people that can produce. He's got Manny Machado. He's got Juan Soto. This Jackson Churio kid, he's turned a corner and he's not looking back. And he's really been carrying Mando a lot. And then he's got Willem Contreras, not Wilson Contreras. And Willem has been a top-ranked catcher all season long. And, so he's got very good players. And then, this week, looking ahead, Juan Soto's fixing to go stupid. He plays the Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers. I mean, last week he was playing against the Texas Rangers and still put up, okay numbers, but he's fixing to go ape shit because he's in Chicago and in Detroit. So Juan Soto's fixing to have a fucking crazy week. This episode is brought to you by Liquid Death. Liquid Death. Don't die of thirst, die of something else. Liquid Death. There you go. Ray went up against Jesus, and let me tell you, Jesus got a contributing factor from yours truly and made this margin of victory smaller than it could have been. Jazz Chisholm hit 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases. How many stolen bases did Ray lose by? 2. You're welcome, Jesus. No problem. Oh, also, and Willie Adames got him one. So you're welcome. So he beat her based off of the trade that I gave. Sorry about that, hun.
Yeah, thanks.
But he's getting a lot of stats from Kyle Schwarber, and he's now going to get Kyle Schwarber, Jazz Chisholm. Again, Alec Boehm, probably one of the best first basemen that baseball's ever known. He was really missed off of his team because Josh Naylor wasn't doing anything for him. Oh, no, yes, he was. But, trade that guy named Gunnar Henderson away for the best first baseman in the game. And you're really looking at just really being competitive. I'm only giving you 2 shit. But yeah, Ray's getting it done with Ozuna. I mean, he had a turnaround season this year, but unfortunately, we'll get into this in a minute, but the fucking Braves, I don't know how many times I've had to say this in my own personal life and in the circles of people that know me as a Braves fan. They're done, okay? They're done. They are not good. They didn't have the offense when Acuna was in the lineup. They are not going to, they will probably make the playoffs. Yay. But that's because they have the record that they do. However, they ain't going far. Okay. Charlie Morton is about to suck again on my team. Why I asked for him instead of Fried, but Eric will say, well, Fried was just as bad. This is referring to trade talks. But yeah, the Braves are done. Okay. But Ray's got a really good lineup. And she loses Walker, Christian Walker, from the Arizona Diamondbacks. She then picks up the Arizona Diamondbacks first baseman replacement in Josh Bell, and that dude's just going off. So he's now in a contending team. So you got Josh Bell, Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll. It's like they made the right decision. And then when Christian Walker comes back, man, they're going to be a powerhouse because you got Bell, Walker, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Eugenio Suarez, Corbin Carroll. I mean, they've got, and Ketel Marte. That's 6 out of the 9 batters that I referred to on their team. And I want to say, isn't Jock Peterson on that roster too? And Walker's like, yeah, he is. But yeah, this was a good win for Ray. Better for Jesus because it really, if anything now, his team could really make a push for that top 6 spot. Really. And we'll get into that in just a second. Let me make sure my time is good. Yeah, we're good. I got my little fat roll there just creeping in. And then our biggest margin of victory this week was Brian over Walker. 10-1. This is crazy. It's very close in all the stats. But again, Walker, this is the world we live in. You lost by 1 RBI and you lost by 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases. But he took every single one of the batting categories from you. His biggest contributing player was Jorge Soler. Welcome back to Atlanta, Jorge. At first, it was like we were all wondering what the fuck Anthopoulos was doing, but look at that. He put in the work and 9 ribbies on the week. Duran is suspended for 2 days. Apparently, I guess you can't say gay or something, whatever he said. I know it was an anti-gay slur. It's so funny. It's like, I don't mean to get into whatever, but here it is. You got just a few years ago, the state of Georgia makes a comment about the election process. Now, I don't really think you should be mixing sports into politics. Okay. But because of their stance, the Major League Baseball saw fit to hold it against the Atlanta Braves organization because of their stance on voting rights and removed the All-Star game from their state. Therefore, demolishing the money that would have been received that year because of the state in which they play baseball in took a stand. And then you've got a Boston Red Sox who is probably getting heckled from some fucking fan that paid their tuition fee to come and watch this dude play. And he calls him something and this dude gets suspended. Probably is still getting suspended. It's just, it blows my mind. It's like they play both sides of the fence. They don't even play in the same ballpark half the damn time. It's like, dude, just let them fucking play. So what if he said something? Like, fuck you guys. Like, you guys held something against a Major League Baseball team and the city in which they represent because the state in which they play in said something in terms of our country. Like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, what does it fucking matter that this guy said something? Guess what? We go back to the beginning. He's a human being too. What, he can't say it? Oh, you got to think about the fact that he's in, this position that he plays on a ball field. Well, then you shouldn't be allowed to come in there and talk shit to him that way. If he can't give it right back to you and call you something for you saying something to him, then get the fuck out of my stadium, bitch. I make more than you will ever. Like, I don't know, man. It just blows my mind, these people. What do you mean, you people? Anyways, Brian beat that narrow ass, and Zach Neto, what a pickup. Good job, Walker. Another just flying under the radar shortstop. And in the world where I was looking for a shortstop, you swooped in, grabbed his ass up, and that dude's been carrying your team. Even though he didn't carry you to victory, he put up solid numbers last week. And he's going to be a star. He's going to be a good find. And unfortunately, he plays on a team where there is nobody else. You know, there's Logan O'Hoppe is on that roster now because Anthony Rendon is done. Mike Trout is probably getting the word in his ear. Might be a good idea to retire. But when you look at this whole matchup between you two guys, I mean, other than strikeouts, man, you know, you tied in save plus holds, didn't win in quality starts. Everything was really close. Walker knows it. But at the end of the day, losing 10-1 and being put in a position where you're now further back, it's crippling. But Walker, if we've seen, especially in the last couple of weeks, including with my own team, being that down is not that far. And again, this is where I get to kind of be like, had you actually answered my text or been awake, you wouldn't be in the 7th place, because looking at the games between you and Josh, it's by a margin of 4. You might still be in 7th. However, that gap would be a lot smaller. Stay the fuck awake, Walker, okay? Damn it. Who said you could sleep? Here's our top 6 right now. Trippin' Billy's leading the way. He's 2.5 games ahead of Ray Ray. I, myself, am 6.5 games back from Ray Ray. Half a game back is Nick from me. Half a game back from Nick is Jason. Look at that. Jason's like, I'm coming back for that number 1 spot. Benchwarmers is 4.5 games back from Jason. And I already mentioned 4 games back from Josh is Walker. Brian, you are not that far behind, sir. You are less than 10 games back. Less than 10 games back from Josh. However, 12 games back from Josh is Jesus. It's gonna be big. And then I'm not going to leave him out by any stretch of the imagination. But Eric's not that far behind either. He's 5.5 games back from Jesus. This tie last week kind of slowed his roll, if you will, a little bit. But with a winning percentage of .442 and Josh at .528, it's not hard to imagine that if Eric can pull out some big-time wins in these next few weeks, he might have a chance. And he's now got a fairly more agreeable roster to put up stats. However, so does Jesus. This is crazy. We got like at least a legitimate, there's even a possibility of the teams that are ranked, I will say 3 and to 6th, all 4 of us. There's even a possibility that Nick could be booted out of the playoffs. Myself included, Jason included. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 8 teams pining for 4 spots, excuse me. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. So here we go. Without further ado, week 19 looks like this. I myself will play Mandalorians. Shane will play Jesus. That's a good matchup to watch. Benchwarmers play Jason. That's the matchup to watch. Nick will play Eric. Another good matchup to watch. Brian, you're facing off against the Hitman, and I know that you're going to be really on board with hoping that the way that the Hitman has been being beaten the last couple of weeks, you're on the receiving end of another 10-1, 11-1, maybe even 12-0 victory. And here's another great matchup. Ray is facing off against Walker. Ray could put her foot on him, on his throat, and be like, you're not coming up here. Or Walker could turn it all around. But here's the biggest factor. Ray has the second most moves left in our league. If anybody has the ability to almost flip their entire roster without making a single trade, it's that girl over there. She's got 27 moves that have been made. Hitman is the other. If she wanted to affect the rest of her season, she could start really looking at her roster, seeing where she's missing some people, and grabbing up players. Josh and Walker are hanging by a thread with 2 moves left. Myself and Brian were out. That's where now the moves really come into play. And I'm always seemingly out of the moves race at about this time. Shut up. Looking ahead, because we have a minute here, it looks like this. Next week, this is where it's going to get really funkin'. I was about to say fucking funky. My next 3 weeks are a gauntlet. I will face off against Nick, Shane, and Eric. Shane faces Eric. Where the hell is he? Oh, me. And then Jason. Benchwarmers plays Brian, Ray, and Walker. Walker plays Jesus, the Hitman, and again, Josh. So it's like Walker's probably really hoping that the margin of victory for the victorious team that plays the Hitman is as big as it can go the week that he plays Hitman. But these next few weeks are really going to just determine if you even actually belong. And the fact that 4 of those teams are almost out of moves or are out of moves. Jason's he's got the most with 8. And then, of course, Nick, and like I said, Ray, and Shane's got 13 left. So he's not too concerned. But there it is. I mean, and you got players. Let's look at the player list. We got a few minutes. No, I don't. I got a minute. You got guys like Jake McCarthy, Jeremy Pena out there. Pitchers is just a desert. Like, who's going out there and grabbing up some of these guys? I mean, Max Scherzer goes back down, but Shane was like, fuck Nestor Cortez. I'm tired of his ass. But there's just not a lot out there, really. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Hope you guys have a good week. Enjoy week 19. So, yeah. All right. It's the motherfucking